Hey guys, welcome back to Arry the Stag. TR Tony here on a lovely, bright, sunny Sunday. Apologies if we've been out of touch a little bit during midweek. It's just we've been still working on this blinking garage of ours, and we are making some good inroads, but it's taking a lot of time. So once we've got it built and we get the cars back in, I'm sure we'll be able to do a lot more films. But welcome back from wherever you are. Hope you're having a great week and weekend. Today's subject is about air conditioning, actually, in the Triumph Stag. A pretty rare find here in the UK, but overseas in Australia and the USA, I think it was a fairly standard upgrade option if you wanted it in those sunnier and even hotter climes. But nevertheless, here in the UK, we hardly ever see anything of that at all. So I've been in dialogue with a guy called Mike. He's over in the West Coast in the US, and he's been slowly but surely building up his Triumph Stag. He's got a number, and I'll show those to you in just a moment. But he's been going through a whole complete refit of his air conditioning unit, and he's a remarkable man because he's been doing a lot of effort under his own steam in far off countries without perhaps too much support, and definitely worth looking into if you're thinking of either upgrading or resurrecting your existing air conditioning unit that you may have in your Triumph Stag. So without further ado, we recorded an interview on Skype a couple of weeks ago. I'll put it all together in a film, and so pull up a stool and a cup of coffee, put your feet up, and enjoy over half an hour of Arry the Stag and air conditioning and young Mike, who is a top bloke. Okay. Hey Mike.
Hey Tony, how you doing?
I'm all right, thank you. Yeah, nice to see you. Nice to see you.
And I think if it gets below Southern California, it gets below like I don't know, 65 degrees, everyone panics.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yes. Yeah. I've never been to the West Coast. I'd love to go. I've never been, but I hear it's a fantastic place, and lots of great people and lots of lovely scenery and all of that. Yeah.
It is. It's got a lot of really nice things. The weather's almost always the same. It's either nice or it's hot.
Yeah. Right. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Which is one of the reasons why I originally started the project with the AC unit. You know, originally when I started the car, I thought I was not going to have any AC stuff because, you know, this is Southern California and that's a convertible. Who needs air conditioning?
Yeah.
And, then we hit our first couple 100+ degree days, and I thought, oh no, this is ridiculous. I got to put AC in.
Yeah, yeah. I have to be careful. I've still got my hard top on my car because it is, well, firstly, there's nowhere to put it because we're building garages, and I didn't want the hard top to get damaged. But also because of my skin, I'm kind of ginger, red hair, so I tend to burn very easily. So it's kind of quite nice keeping the roof on for a bit. So I'm sure we'll have it off soon, but we have had a couple of drives, but you know, it's just been nice to keep the sun off. So, but yeah, I'm quite envious of the Aircon. I think it's certainly, I've not seen one like yours in the UK. I don't think ever. I've seen a few kind of modern upgrade, you know, contemporary ones engineered, retro engineered in, but I've never seen the original unit, which is it's been quite a fascinating journey, really. So.
I actually owe it to you. I mean, you've been my inspiration for a lot of this project, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't attempt some of the things I've attempted only because I've watched you do it.
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, that's very kind, Mike. Thank you.
I watched you take your heater unit apart, and I thought, you know, let me give this one a try because they're, like you said, they're not available anymore.
No,
and,
no.
You know, one thing about the Stags and the older cars that I love so much is they were built with, you know, the blood, the sweat, and the tears of hardworking people.
Yeah.
There were no computers. There were no robots. There weren't anything like that. They were built with, you know, with the hands.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
if they could build it with the hands, with a bit of research and just some gumption, you know, anyone could jump in and probably do it.
No, I totally agree, and they're quite easy to work on. Equally, you know, complex at the same time with V8 3 liters and everything else, lots of electrics. So I've said it on the channel a million times, but it's kind of it was quite forward for its time. If you think, I mean, in the UK way back in the early 70s, if you had a car with electric windows, then you were probably driving around in a Rolls Royce, you know, eating caviar at night, let alone power steering. my very first car, which was a Triumph Herald. It was a 1969
Mhm.
saloon 1200, and it actually had two kind of rear view mirrors attached to the wings, you know, on
Uh-huh.
the and that was a luxury added extra at the time. You know, I think the standard one was just to have one if you were lucky, you know. And so safety wasn't kind of a primary importance back then, it seemed. And headrests, I mean, just stuff we all take for granted now in
Oh yeah.
modern cars. But yeah, it's quite fascinating just how ahead of their time they were, you know. So
Yeah. This they're so resilient. I fell in love with them back in the early '80s. I was working with a guy who had his own British car shop.
okay,
I was working with him, and someone brought a Stag in, and I thought, one day I'm going to own one of these because they are such great cars. And I love the T-top, and I love the
yeah,
little warning cluster on the dash. I mean,
yeah,
it's such great cars. And
yeah,
one thing I found with the ones I've I own now is how resilient and how strong they actually are. Like
yeah,
the one I'm working on now, which I've turned Project Phoenix. It's been
yes.
resurrecting from the ashes, basically.
This is the
It,
blue one, the blue
it,
one, yeah,
yeah, the blue one.
yeah,
It,
yeah.
it's been sitting in a field for 15 plus years.
Wow, really, yeah,
And I when I took it apart, I had to take all the hornet's nests out from behind the headlights. There was actually moss and grass growing in the driver's footwell.
incredible.
And when I stripped it down, there is so little rust on that car. I was amazed. The side markers, the
Yeah,
bulbs were still good. They still lit up.
did they
You know,
really?
I'm finding so many things that if you clean them,
Yeah,
they're coming back. They're working.
that's
The window motors, a little bit of WD-40, they
wow,
started working back.
really, yeah, yeah, that's amazing. And
Yeah,
you know, proper engineering, which you tend not to get so
it
much
is.
these
It is
days.
good engineering, strong
Yeah,
engineering.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
even with the engine on the other one I have that does have the original 3.0 liter engine.
Yeah,
I've had that since 1987, and until last year, I have never had a problem with that engine. Never
right.
had it overheat, not once, and that's in 100+ degree weather.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
A
So,
little love, a little care, and you won't have an issue.
yeah, no, I think there's a lot of bad press that hangs around, isn't there? It's and to be fair, some of it is fair. But I think I was talking to somebody at Stag Owners Club the other week, and they said actually, Tony, that the big issue with Stags was quality control. It wasn't
Yes.
necessarily the manufacturer; it's the way that they let cars go out. Forgive me, a little bit thrown together. When we had our engine redone last year, you may have watched the film. The Paul at Stag still found the original sand in the casting that had been used. You know, had been there for 50 years. It's supposed to have been cleaned out, and so that was symptomatic of an engine problem, cooling problem, that kind of thing,
Hmm.
that caused then head and everything else. So, but to have found one in a field in that good condition, Mike, I think that's fantastic. That's really cool.
Yeah, I was so surprised. I expected to have to do tons and tons of body work on it, and anything. And
Yeah,
there are some spots that do show rust, like
sure.
the right front or the left front sill has some rust on it, and there are some little rust spots in the floor pans, but
Yeah.
I mean, easily weldable back up.
Yeah, superb, superb. And it's great to meet you. I've always
I
had a
know
good email relationship today. It's good to see you in
this
the flesh.
this
And
is a true pleasure.
it is no, likewise. I think what's been a surprise for us is what started out as just an interest in a car. You know the story of when I was a lad, young boy. Seeing my first Stag drive across in front of me with my mum. I was going down to local town centre on a bus at the time. I thought, wow, look at that, that's incredible. Of course, always out of reach financially
Hmm.
until fairly recently, and we took the plunge. But no, it's kind of inspiring to meet lots of interesting people around the world. It's really surprised us how many stories there are, how many family connections. Cars have been handed down, over generations to
Yeah.
owners. I've got one guy who remembers being taken to Scotland in the back of his Stag
Oh wow.
by his mum and dad. I think it's David up in Derby, and he now owns the car, But he fondly remembers going on holiday, freezing in the back because there was no heating in the back, and his parents not knowing what on earth the problem was, so they went up north to Scotland on holidays, and now his children are doing the same, which is kind of quite quite funny. But that kind of history, I think, is very interesting, and there's lots of knowledge around the world too, and it's useful to share that, I think, and that's really what Arry the Stag has become, from just initially filming a little bit of progress on the car, the project that we bought with my boys, So it's
your channel, your YouTube channel, has been so enlightening for me, and such great training material. I don't know how many times I've watched and rewatched certain episodes just for the littlest of detail that you look at. Lots of screenshots of one little spot to say, I see that.
That's
Oh,
how
okay,
you do it.
now I got that.
Yeah, no, fair play. And we want to do a lot more as well. We've been kind of a little bit hamstrung because of the garage situation. I'm still doing my business consulting day job, I call it. I want to do a lot more Arry the Stag going forward into my semi-retirement, so that's the plan. So yeah, we want to do a lot more videos, technical stuff as well as fun stuff, and now hopefully we're getting out of the COVID-19 regime where we can stretch our legs a little bit more and maybe go and see a few people, and that'll be even better. So that's the vision. But yeah, so do you want to talk us through the story then, Mike, of your air conditioning unit and what you've done to it? Just a few points. Again, it might help others around the world who've got similar units, because I've never seen one before. I'm really interested.
Sure, I would love to. Well, basically the story of the car is, I wanted one to restore. I know I'm going to probably upset a lot of truists here, but it was an empty shell. There's no engine, no trans in it.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to change the engine, put a different engine in it. And so while I was stripping it down, I got to the interior, and there had been a lot of animals who had decided it was a great place to make a nest.
Right.
And I pulled the unit out, and when I pulled it out, I could see it was covered in rust. You've got pictures I've seen.
I have. Yeah.
And
I'll probably put things on the voice, as we do this.
Definitely. Yeah. Feel free to share anything you want.
Thank you.
That's why I send them to you. But
yeah.
I thought I saw your episode where you took your heater apart, and I thought, okay, I think if you look at it closely, and the old adage, measure twice, cut once.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's like research many, many times and look at it from every angle, take lots of pictures, and then take it apart piece by piece. And that's what I did. Is I took the unit apart piece by piece with lots of pictures. And when I took it apart, I looked at it and said, okay, why was this here? What did it do?
Yeah.
What was its purpose? And if you understand that, pretty easy to see the logic behind why it went together.
Yeah.
Now, the first part that came off was the AC matrix. And that looked like they built the unit, and that was like an add-on onto the top of it.
Yeah.
So I got that apart. And from there, the blower motors, neither one of the blower motors actually worked.
No.
So I thought, okay, let's see if we can find out why. And, I spent 2 or 3 days on just the blower motors, taking them down. And I took one of them, I actually took down and laid out individually with individual coils. And I could see the bearings were basically just dry. I lubricated the bearings back up, put it all back together. And, they started working. They blow really, really nice.
Really good.
I got great airflow now, and then from there, it was just a systematic, okay, these pieces are screwed on, unscrew these pieces off, set them aside here. One thing I did know is a lot of the screws had rusted really bad, and so the heads either just sheared off or just stripped out. So there's a lot of drilling of that to get those old screws out. But
you have to retap them as well. You have to retap them too. You have to rethread them as well, or
a lot of the screws were more like a sheet metal type screws.
Okay.
The ones that were threaded, they got new nuts on the end of them. There were some pop rivets actually in there that I had to drill out, which is really interesting because I wondered why you would go screw, pop rivet, and then screw, pop rivet. And it wasn't until I was actually putting it back together I realized where the pop rivets are is where one of the inside flappers are. So if you put a screw in there, it would have interfered with the flapper.
Okay.
Which is why they put the pop rivet in there.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting finding the reasoning behind why they put it together the way they had manufactured it. So it was just man, take it down to piece slowly by slowly, research everything, And then once I got it down there, I spent many afternoons at a wire wheel, taking all the rust, all the paint off it.
Yeah.
From there, I sprayed it a couple coats of that rust encapsulator, just a couple from growing, and then I finished it off with a good gloss black finish.
Yeah.
Slowly put the pieces all back together, testing each one, making sure they all worked, and then coming up with a whole unit. Yeah. One of the tricky parts of it is having to find some of the old electronics. And I learned that you can't do a search for Triumph Stag parts. What you have to do is you find the part and you look for the numbers and the identification on the side of it, and see who manufactured the part, and go directly from there and start doing a search from there.
Yeah, okay. So the fan unit, I remember in my heater was I forget who made it now, Lucas or something, I can't remember who made it, but there was it was a third-party manufacturer. Yeah, and in fact, I've taken a radiator out of one of our Stags just a couple of days ago, and that was made somewhere in Coventry Fittings Company Limited. It's been gone out of business for decades, but it's still got the original plaque on the top of it, but we're not quite signed, but it's not far off. So we're going to refurbish that one and put that into the UNY when we get that done.
Cool.
So, yeah, because it's proper brass, you know. They don't make radiators like that anymore. So yeah.
Nah. You know, it was a lot of interesting things I was finding putting it back together. Like I said, I had to find the excuse me.
That's okay.
The electronics were the hardest part, because the capillary tube for the temperature sensor and the AC had actually broken off.
Yeah.
So after a lot of research, I found a vintage air company that had something that was similar looking. Yeah. And I thought, okay, I'll take a chance. So I went and I bought it. I found it was so similar, it was a matter of disassembling it and just swapping the tops from the old one to the new one.
Really?
And I had a good capillary going again.
Yeah, superb. Yeah, so it's just amazing what can be done, isn't it? Just a little bit of creativity and perseverance. And it's I'm just looking at finished pictures now. Actually, it looks really cool. Yeah, on the I can obviously overlay this on the video, but yeah, it looks like a brand new unit. I kind of recognise the heater unit that we would be used to, but the cowling all around it and all the condensers, you can see the fan enclosures as well. It looks a real top job, Mike. You've done really well.
I really appreciate that. Thanks. Like I say, it's not that I can do anything special. Anyone could do this. It's just a matter of sitting down, having the perseverance, and doing the research beforehand, and then don't set a timeline. Definitely don't set a time. Just go slowly, understand why it's there, what it was there for, and its purpose. Yeah. And you'll be able to get through it. Anyone can do it.
Exactly right. Yeah, no, that's really good. And it's also, I suppose, a bit like my father-in-law told me years ago, don't be afraid of anything. Like as you alluded to, if it's been put together by humans, I'm sure it can be disintegrated or adjusted or repaired. So as long as you've got that positive attitude, I think also just focusing on the little tasks. So don't forget about the whole car and everything else that, because we'll be here worrying about that for months. But if you just focus on the modules, slowly but surely all the different modules start to come together. So it's a very positive way of looking at it. And yeah, enjoy yourself as well whilst doing it.
It is, and you're absolutely right on that.
Yeah.
Keep in mind the whole, but don't focus on the whole. Focus on what you're working on at that time. Otherwise, you'll overwhelm yourself, and you'll just give up. And like you said, one of the reasons I jumped into this, because I watched you jump into it and say, I'm going to take this apart. And I thought, wow, I'm going to do that too.
See what happens. So,
yeah, that's what it comes down. And it's like, well, I've really got nothing to lose.
No,
I know Tony's done it before. Well, I'm going to go for it also.
Oh, bless him. Thank you very much. Yeah, that was great. It was good fun. That's for sure. So what's the plan for yours going forward then, Mike? You've got 3 Stags there, and the blue one is a new acquisition. What's the go forward plan for your car?
The blue one, definitely. Today's plan now is to test fit the V8 engine block.
Okay.
This one engine, see how that fits inside there, and then Monday it's off to the machine shop.
Okay, righto.
And then while that's going on, I'll start the body work.
Yeah, you're doing all this yourself. Yeah.
And then just keep moving on from there until
until
it's a whole, module by module.
Yeah, no, fantastic. Don't worry about the cat. It's all right. I've managed to I've managed to subdue Downpipe Duke. He's around the house somewhere, my dog. So he was barking at the. We got some neighbours' dogs, and they seem to bark over the wall to each other. They've never actually met, but there's a right rumpus goes on whenever, usually in the middle of an important conference call like this, But so don't worry, it's fine. But yeah, so no, that's cool. I think, and I'm sometimes quite mindful. I think some people must think, oh, flipping heck, he's had this blinking car since 2017 and he still hasn't got it painted, me. And but I just think, well, it's been fun. It's enjoyable, and just take your time. There's no emergency or big rush, but it will be nice to get it on the road in time, and we will prevail. So I think no, we've got certainly a worldwide following of people that are raving fans of the Stag. And actually, I think the Stag's been underrated for many years, maybe because of some of the history. The Jaguar E-types. They call XKE. They call them in US, don't they? XKE, is that right? They're called.
Yeah, they call them the XKEs, the E-types, the S-types.
Yeah. I mean, over here now, an E-type Jaguar can set you back at least anywhere from £80,000 to 180, 190,000. It's mad what prices. They're out of reach for most people now, I think. Me included. Austin Healey's, I love the Austin Healey 3000 Mark II particularly, and I've always loved the Stag. And that has been up until fairly recently a very affordable classic car, and nice too, because I'm 6'2" and I'm probably the wrong side of 15 stone, I'll admit to. So getting in and out of my stepson's MG BGT, as I have to from time to time, causes a lot of amusement at local supermarkets. There may have been a time, early 1980s, when I nearly bought one, that I could have slipped into this thing quite easily and out, no problem. These days, I literally have to dive out and pull myself out head first to exit the car, and getting in is no more gainly than that, really. So, but the Stag is actually quite a drivable car. This one that we bought from East Anglia back at the start of the year has been great fun. It may be scratching the itch a little bit. We're still committed to UNY, as you know, but it's been really enjoyable. It's not uncomfortable at all. You can do good miles in them and still feel quite refreshed, which, okay, I know it's not a modern car. My wife keeps protesting that why on earth do you want to drive around in an old 1970s car like that when we've got a modern car out on the driveway? But for me, it's not quite the same driver experience, so as the Stag.
You know why you drive a Stag around and any of the older cars is because of the style, and the classiness of them.
Yeah.
Today's cars, they're all robot computerized, built. They all look the same. They're all plastic. You get into a car like a Stag, and you can just feel the luxury and the class behind it. They're like grand old ladies who are still there. Not the best way to put it.
I couldn't put it any better myself, Mike. That's brilliant. That really is good. I had to move my car yesterday. It's on the front of our house, and there was an old guy just walking along the pavement outside our house, and he'd seen me just move the car, and I was just getting out of the vehicle, shutting the door, and just enjoying the petrol vapor, the smell of it's just a unique smell of and this guy stopped, and oh, it's a lovely car. He said, do you know what? He said, I used to work on those many years ago. And he was reminiscing about the fact he'd done all sorts of things on these Stags, back in the 1970s. So gave him a kind of trip down memory lane, and me a bit of input on what it was like to work back in those days. Just a guy passing by out for a walk on a sunny afternoon. It was really good.
Yeah, all those old cars. Like one of the most enjoyable cars I ever drove was an MGC.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah, the MGC Roadster. That was a blast.
Nice.
I loved that car.
Yeah.
To be honest, I just have a real affinity towards British cars.
Yeah.
Because the style, the grace, the whole thing about them. Not much, BMWs, yeah, okay. Mercedes, yeah, okay. For the
Yeah.
British car, yeah, okay.
That's great. Well, it's a Pininfarina kind of a kind of influence as well, I suppose, isn't it? Which is great, and the Michelotti as well for,
Hmm.
for kind of these kind of cars, and these are kind of design icons. You always have them parked in your lounge to just admire,
Yeah.
and just enjoy how they look. It's great, but there we are. Good stuff, though, Mike. Well, that's been really great. Thank you for all your wonderful feedback. That's been tremendous. Any top tips that you give the viewers in
Yeah.
summary?
My best top tip: research.
Research, yeah, yeah,
Research, research, research.
yeah,
Take your time, understand why that part's there and what its purpose is,
yeah,
because you may not find that part, but you can find something that does the same thing.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
just take your time, do the research, and you'll always succeed.
yeah, yeah. No, wise words indeed. And not be afraid to have a go, as we said.
Yeah, definitely. Don't be afraid to jump in with both feet. Like I said, I think
Exactly.
the next thing, I think I'm going to try to attempt that old rusty dash that I have now. See if I can't
Okay.
clean it up.
Yeah, well, obviously, if there's anything we can do to help, I've got one in the garage. It's still, we need to do some work on that as well. So always happy to help. But actually, the things that you learn along the route, it's just really cool. So there's so much to them, isn't there? Really, but
Mhm.
yeah, no, that's really great. Good. Okay. Well, yeah. What I'll do, Mike, I think I may have your address. I can't remember if I have or not, but I'll send you an Arry the Stag bobble at.
Ah,
Uh,
very
I
cool.
think that's certainly doing one for the channel. So perhaps offline, if you can give me your address and whatever, we'll get something sent over, and we'll try and put this together into a bit of a film. I'll use some of the photographs that you sent over, a voiceover on the video, and yeah, it'll be great to share that aircon unit with the whole world. I think there's certainly one or two in Australia that I know of have been doing some work on the Stag aircon, but I've never seen one up so up close and personal and comprehensive as what you've done. I'm sure others will be looking to that. I wouldn't mind trying to find a second-hand kit actually, like you have, to put into ours here in the UK. So I'm sure my wife would love air conditioning as we drive through France and wherever in
Oh,
time.
yeah,
And
definitely.
so if you see one, let me know. I'd be quite interested to go through the process.
Feel free to put anything up there. If anyone has any questions, just have them
Yeah,
send them to you. You can forward them to me. I'll
yeah,
answer them. But one of the reasons I do this is because I want to help others.
yeah, sure, sure.
Let everyone else get a chance to enjoy this. Let everyone else learn from it.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Good stuff. All
Okay.
right, Mike. Well, thanks very much for being with us this afternoon. It's been really interesting. And I guess, as we would say to the camera, we'll see you online on Arry the Stag
All
very
right.
soon.
Thanks a lot, Tony. I really appreciate the time.
Yeah. Okay, no worries.
All right.
Thanks, Mike. Okay. Jolly good. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that review. Mike, you're an outstanding guy. I don't know how you do all this engineering, but it's very, very impressive. And the speed at which you're getting through your cars, I think, is tremendous too. Great to see that passion. And guys out there and gals, anybody who wants any information, I'm sure Mike will be very happy, as he said in the film, to help you out. He is a good bloke, and good blokes and good gals on Arry the Stag get some good stuff. And so this Arry the Stag Bobbleat will be winging its way to him. And this is a very highly prized kind of item of clothing that very few people have. They only get this if they've done good stuff for the channel. So that's on its way over to Mike. And yeah, just finally to finish off, and completely different to what we've been talking about, a couple of weekends ago, there was the end of June, there was the Southwest Vehicle Auctions, classic car auctions down in Poole. We couldn't go because of COVID and lockdown and everything else, but they very kindly put everything else on the internet. So there's actually almost a 5-hour film of the auction. Appreciate I won't take up this film with all of that. What we'll do is put a link in the description box. So if you want to watch it, again, it's a good morning's viewing, but we found it absolutely fascinating. Sadly, there aren't any stags involved, but lots of good classic cars. And if you're interested in classics like we are, it's well worth a watch, even if you just have it on the background and doing other stuff and keep dipping in and dipping out, as we were doing when we had the garage build. We had it on Harry's phone, and yeah, it was really interesting just to see what classic cars are going for this day and age. Cool. Okay, so that's it from us for this week. More on the garage next week, and hopefully we're going to get there sooner or later and get back to doing some proper stag stuff. But I hope you have a great week wherever you are, and yes, we'll see you online on Arry The Stag very soon. All the best, guys. Cheers for now. Don't forget to subscribe, and also your badge of honour, as up here. If you want a badge of honour, go onto our website and you can have one free of charge. All the best, guys. See you soon. Take care. Bye.